Another beautiful day. Look at the sky. It rained last night pretty heavily. First time in about 5 days, I think. About 5 days have passed since it rained last. But today, sunny day, clouds, yes, but as you can see, they spread out across the sky. And way out there, that is the ocean. Looking west towards the Caribbean and South America. South and Central. Yeah, Central and South America, yeah. Looking out towards Barbados and Grenada, Trinidad, Tobago, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Guadeloupe, and then it turns and goes up towards Bahamas. But south is TNT. Shout out to the TNT people. And then Guyana, Mr. C, Mr. Fraser, how you doing, bro? Anyway, I was looking at the map yesterday and see like the Caribbean is almost free of storms and hurricanes, which is good, because oh well. Anyway, it's good. The hurricane season is winding down, except on the Pacific coast, but anyway, beautiful, beautiful day. Loving it, loving it, loving it. There's a lot to be done, but time. And we'll get it done. We'll get it done. And get our young people, put them to work fixing the issues instead of keeping them unemployed deliberately in the name of the colonial masters who keep our young people unemployed while Africa needs to be creating. I used to be in this geopolitical space, well, up to about, I'll say, about 3 years ago. And then I realized, African people aren't doing anything. They're going to America, and Europe, and Canada, and China. They're getting a degree in America and staying there instead of coming back home to build Africa. The Africans who were transported across the ocean, who has the lineage that reaches back to Africa through our enslaved parents. Most of us, hey, look at the beauty. He came up looking at me. Most of us, we were concentrating on us just trying to survive, trying to survive. But those who had the will in Africa, the means, were leaving Africa. They had don't want nothing to do with Africa. They built a house here for the family that stayed here, but uncle and auntie and grandma, maybe mom and dad, they built a house. They're not coming back. They open up their doctor's office, their engineering offices, their whatever business they go into in Europe and America and Canada, wherever they went to build that economy. And now the results of the last 600 years, well, it's 600 plus years now, is now coming home to disturb the peace. I listened to a South African minister this morning complaining about no gasoline in South Africa. The power, electricity, the energy system are falling apart in South Africa. And I say to myself, can't be serious. I know it, but why I'm saying to myself that she can't be serious is that ANC has been in power for how long now? And they know that these problems exist. But guess what? They're not doing anything about it. Refineries should be built. Roads should be maintained. Food should be grown. And healthcare should be improved. South Africa has the capability, it has the funds to do these things. But the president, I wouldn't bring up things that should be handled by the judiciary in South Africa. But we know what's happening. Instead of fixing the economy, that's what's happening. Conviction of Indian, what do you call them now? I don't know what to call them. Criminals. The information coming out of that shows that the leaders are not working for their people. That's happening all across Africa. We don't have any refineries, no food production capability. Everybody's crying about not getting wheat from Russia and Ukraine, oil from Saudi Arabia or Libya, when Africa has more oil than all of them. I'm serious, has more oil. We have not even begun to take what the Sahara, what's underneath the sand in the Sahara. We haven't even begun to touch it. Muammar Gaddafi started taking the water out, and they took him out. But there's more water, fresh water. I mean, underneath those sands. Yeah. Not only fresh water, but minerals. But anyway, we're talking about ministers and presidents complaining about not having food for their people. African rice was brought by the slaves to Carolina. But then they couldn't allow African rice to dominate the world, so they brought rice from Asia. One less quality than the one that was growing, that came from Africa. Sorghum, millet. Hey. There's so much that, so many grains available here that should be grown. But the wickedness that suppressed homegrown grains to buy grains from foreign countries, especially a place like Ukraine that hate us, who sent their own troops here along with the EU to create havoc in Africa. Train terrorists that would disrupt the economies of Africa. That's what Ukraine was involved in. Them in France and Great Britain, Germany, Belgium. That's what they were involved in. And Africans don't understand the hatred. Believe that going to Europe, living 10 in a room, oh yes, I've been there. I lived there, yes. So I can talk about it. Seen it. They never come home and say, that's the way I live. They make a video showing the best front. Some borrow money to come home. Then when they get back, have to repay it. But those are not the stories that are told, cannot be told otherwise. That shine that going out of Africa has will fall apart. So, Mrs. Minister from South Africa, you and your other African ministers, if you begin today, Dangote began building a refinery in Nigeria, and the criminals there frustrated him so much that he had to give up. Refinery that should be finished in 3 years, still not finished. What does that tell you? There should be refineries every country in Africa. Not just making fuel, petrol, but the chemicals that go into oxygen, producing oxygen and nitrogen and other necessary materials. You don't need oil for refinery. Sugarcane will do. Ask Brazil. But our ambassadors are so busy. Let's not step on that one for the time being. But that's what we need. Hospitals that teach good medical care, not just importing the poisons that we see in Gambia, killing the children. But our forest has all that they need to create the medications that we need. Our forest, besides the medicine, we need food. Other countries are sending their people to Africa to buy or lease millions of acres to grow food, not only to ship back to their country, but to sell across the world. Energy, sunshine we have to make energy, the water. Ethiopia is trying to build a dam, and other African nations like Egypt and Sudan, and its own people allow other nations like Europe to make them attack Ethiopia while that dam can benefit all of North Africa or Northeast Africa. Water, fertilizer, electricity, fish. That dam is Congo built dam. The West, Guinea-Bissau, the South, South Africa. We have to use our water resources, produce the energy that we need, the water we need. Education. Either the European have to build a school in Africa and charge and take all the money out, or the Arabic people who are back to colonize you after you throw off the Europeans. They're building schools. Infrastructure. We need it. And every government knows it, but are not doing anything about it. They're waiting for somebody to give them, or not waiting, but they're sending ambassadors to people who they perceive to be wealthy on their knees. Can you build us a road? Can you build us a school? Can you build us a clinic? We have the ability and the resources to build it. So, Mrs. Minister from South Africa, if you're listening, it's time to start doing for self instead of crying to others and begging. You have but a few years. I hope you've heard about the EU minister who's saying that they have to rebuild it. They have to build a garden in this jungle. If you have any pride, all of you, if you have any pride, stop asking for him to come and rebuild Africa. As a matter of fact, disinvite him and his people. But then again, it might be hard for you to do it since your money is in Europe and you're afraid of them seizing it. but you have more here than you have there. Even if you have a billion there, you still have more here than you have there. Anyway, let me end this conversation here. Hope the young people will start taking on the mantle of responsibility, the mantle of leadership. I'm hoping, just like they did in well, uh, young people rose up and overthrew the old rulers who were stealing the country blind, allowing the French to bring the terrorists in. And then the other leaders imposed sanctions on them instead of embracing them and helping them to rebuild their country and get rid of the terrorists. See, young people, you got to stop this from happening. Anyway, have a great day wherever you are. Peace.